Hey, I'm David, trail name Remy.
And I'm Abigail, trail name Serenity.
We are part of the Six Pack Hikers. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode on our channel. Today we're going to be talking about surprises on trail going state by state.
We're the Six Pack Hikers.
So we started the trail at the end of February and finished up at the end of July. And so we recognized that our average pace of about 15 miles a day may have impacted what we felt and experienced along the trail. But we recognized that some of those is not unique, like
The fact that we were told rocks started in around Pennsylvania, so there are rocks the whole trail. They changed, they are worse in New England. Same goes for the mud, but there are rocks the entire trail.
So our first state is Georgia.
Which was steep, like right out of the gate, right when we started. We weren't really expecting that, and it definitely wasn't as bad as the New England area and the Whites, but it was a tough way to start the trail.
Yep. All right, state number 2, North Carolina. And although we are North Carolinians, we've hiked all through the state, so we were very familiar and knew what to expect, especially through the Smokies. But one of the coolest surprises was getting to Clingman's Dome before it opened for the season. So getting that sunrise on top of the highest point on the trail, we just are so grateful for that opportunity to experience it with a small group. It was really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. It was nice to have it just through hikers. So the next state on our journey up north was Tennessee, and we knew it was impacted by Helene, but we didn't realize how severe the damage was until we were walking through some of these bits of trail where you just had walls of trunks lining it. It was kind of crazy to look at. But the trail maintainers did a really good job, and we were able to get through just fine. It was well marked. And Tennessee also had our first river crossing on a boat, our first of 2.
Yep, first ferry ride.
In Irwin, and that was really fun.
Yeah. That was unusual because it doesn't usually have a ferry ride across, but this year they needed it because of the hurricane damage.
Yeah, because it knocked the bridge out.
State number 4 is going to be Virginia, and it's the longest state on the trail, occupying almost a quarter of it. But it is known for its being the Virginia blues, but we did not get the blues. It was a gorgeous state, and we really enjoyed going through. As spring arrived, norovirus arrived on trail, we started having to be concerned about sickness, making sure we were sanitation. So make sure if you're a northbounder early in the season, it's going to kick in around the Virginia Triple Crown. And walking through farmlands, pastures was just awesome. It's a gorgeous state. Grayson Highlands turned out to be a bit more rocky than we anticipated, but like we said in our general comments at the beginning, rocks are everywhere on the trail.
And the ponies made up for it by far. I loved the ponies. Our 5th state was West Virginia, which we were only in for I think it was 2.5 miles, right?
Something like that.
Really short, but it does have what most people think of as the halfway point of the trail, which is Harper's Ferry. We got surprised there because our friend Treehouse had put together a huge scavenger hunt for us all through Harper's Ferry. So we got to run around and do all that, which we had a lot of fun doing. We still have some of our little prizes from that.
Yep.
So that
a
was
lot
fun.
of cool history in Harper's Ferry if you get the chance to check it out. All right, continuing our hike northbound, we're getting into Maryland after we leave West Virginia. And you cross the bridge over the river and immediately descend down the stairs to walk along the bike path that kind of parallels the river, which was really neat to be down that low, but that bike path is unusually busy. And so that was
annoying.
A little stressful as a thru hiker because it's so congested with pedestrians and bikes are flying by. You're having to look over your shoulder walking in a single file line. So it wasn't the most fun part.
Next state was Pennsylvania, which honestly, the 2 different halves of Pennsylvania, the first and the second, are very different. The first section is mostly just flat farmland, a big portion of which is the Cumberland Valley. I remember that bit best because it had a couple of things. One, very stinky mud. We did not anticipate that.
We attributed that to being farmland and fertilizers and manure, and
But it smelled really bad. But that was all like flat. We hit some Amish roadside stands through there, which were really tasty. They had great ice cream. And then we got into the rockier back half of Pennsylvania,
which brought out the
rattlesnakes. And I actually really liked those. They were pretty cool because I had never seen one before.
Yep.
But look out for those if you're out in Pennsylvania.
Yep. And of course, Pennsylvania is probably most famous for the halfway mark on the trail and the half-gallon challenge. So if you're going to attempt it, all bets are off. You just got to push through, having a numb tongue and getting through it.
I didn't do it.
And then finally, we did try going to Gettysburg, which was super cool. But if you're going to do it, don't hike all day and then try to go to Gettysburg at the end of the day. One, you're going to be tired, and two, it closes in the evening, and so we didn't get to explore as much as we would have liked.
We did get to check out the museum though, which
Yeah,
was pretty
we did.
cool.
That was neat. So it's one of those places we want to go back to for sure. Let's talk about New Jersey. It was by far, probably for me, the most surprising state. You always hear it referred to as the Garden State, but I was blown away by the boardwalks over nature preserves, beautiful farmland, and just overall being far more green than I anticipated. I expected it being closer to the city and kind of dirty, but it wasn't that at all. Hospitality was still alive and well, and so for me, it was one of the more surprising states on trail, just with the sheer beauty of it.
And if you're a thru hiker and you're going to attempt Stairway to Heaven, it's not as bad as they make it sound. It's hard, but it's not that bad. Next up is New York, which was, we learned pretty soon after getting into it. I think we had falls like the day we went into New York, because the rocks there, they have some kind of like lichen or moss or something on them. And when it gets wet, it's really slippery. So be careful with that because it is pretty rocky. There's a lot of those.
Yep.
There were delis in New York, which we went to a couple of, and those were really good.
They're delicious.
We also went into the city, but had a bit of a hard time getting there.
Yeah, so New York is known for having the rail that you can take a train into the city, but beware that it runs in a very limited schedule. We kind of just, I guess, falsely assumed that it would take us into the city, and it was run pretty frequently, especially during spring and summer, but that was not the case. So check the schedule, make sure you're going to be able to hit it. After crossing over the Hudson River, we continued our way into Connecticut. What do we remember about Connecticut? Very tall grass.
Yes, with a lot of ticks. So Treehouse, along with us, we named it Connecticut because, it's already in the name. Like, there's ticks everywhere if you hit it in the right time of year, which apparently we did. Look out for that.
Yep. And it was also a weird dichotomy because Connecticut, as a thru hiker, you're smelly and stinky and tired, but then you enter into a high society area. There are a lot of racetracks. Walking through one of the towns, I can remember stopping by, just the cafe, looking to get a quick bite to eat. And it's just, expensive cars, fancy clothes. People were nice, but not overly going out of their way to help hikers. And so it was a really weird contrast, in my opinion.
We were there laying our clothes on the lawn to dry, our very wet clothes on the cafe's lawn.
And getting some looks for it. Massachusetts.
We arrived, and it was like not that long after we crossed the border that we were swarmed by mosquitoes. Like, we had been told there were swarms of mosquitoes. I didn't really know what to expect for that, but it was really bad.
Yep.
So we learned a couple of tricks with those. One of them, which this might not work anymore, but I remember there were a couple of sections of forest that had just been burned. I don't know if they'd had a forest fire controlled burn or what, but the smoke that was still lingering there were a lot fewer mosquitoes in those areas. Also remember, we had one of our trail angels there with us, and we were trying to stay with them like at this road crossing, and there were mosquitoes everywhere. It was really bad. So we discovered that mosquitoes don't really like to hang out in the middle of a road. So we stood in the middle of the road and had to keep getting out of the way for cars to come, but you would stand there for a few minutes and then they'd find you. And then you'd run over somewhere else and stand there for a few minutes.
Not like standing on the shoulder or near the ditch where the water collected, and they were definitely far worse. But as Definitely one of those states that hikers are known for running away from the mosquitoes, and now we know why. But one of the more surprising aspects of Massachusetts too was as immediately when you leave Connecticut, you enter Massachusetts, you go through Sage's Ravine, which is a bunch of old growth forest, which was just gorgeous. It was really, really cool to walk through there.
It was really quiet too.
Yeah. Vermont, one of the coolest states because Beacon and I got to revisit one of our just fondest memories where we spent our honeymoon in Stowe. But Vermont was not without its
mud.
Not as much mud as we expected because it's been called Vermud, but also because of slugs. So apparently, since they go through these cycles of freezing and thawing, they're known for their mud, but what likes to live in the mud? The slugs.
The slugs like the moisture.
I can remember that first night we set up camp at the site, woke up the next morning, our tent, our shoes, our bags, all covered in slugs.
It was all silvery and nasty. I mean, we got slugged so many times that we came up with a term for it and it became a tramily thing. We bought a purple slug and would hang it on people's tents and it would get passed around our tramily, which was kind of hilarious. Also with the slugs, watch your face. Because we learned that slugs can suspend themselves from their own slime like a spider. And I almost got one in the face.
I don't know how you dodged it.
I don't know how I saw it. But look out for that, because that was, we didn't know they could do that.
And Vermont is full of puds as well. Just pointless ups and downs without a view. You leave Vermont and head right into New Hampshire, known for its White Mountains. But it had more severe mud than even Vermont did, surprisingly. That's where bogs came in, slick bog boards, and the bugs came back because of the bogs.
We had new kind of bugs too, deer flies, which bite. They can bite through your clothing.
What kind of bug does that? Bites through the clothing?
Both deer flies and mosquitoes, they love your shoulders because they're like, they don't move when you're walking really. So it's a great landing pad. We got eaten alive there, but we did really love the White Mountains.
Yep, we would absolutely go back despite how challenging it was. And then finally, it was a little surprising. We did not know we would be hiking down waterfalls. Apparently nobody told New Hampshire that waterfalls can be dangerous, but the trail goes right down a couple of them.
And that was really terrifying because you can look down and see the trail like really far down below you. And
just made it very
it's a little
slick.
unnerving.
Yep, just had to be extra cautious. State number 14 on the list, and the final one, Maine. What'd you think?
Was not expecting it to be as technical as it was. We had routes to where if you can picture a cargo net laid across the ground and just raised up to where you're stepping all through it and trying to avoid all of them. They're really thick routes too, a lot of them. So there were quite a few falls in Maine. That was mostly through the 100-mile wilderness where we saw the crazy routes. But even in spite of that, we managed to get our 31-mile day, which was a surprise because we did not intend to go that far. But with rain moving in over the Chairbacks and some other mountains, we decided to push.
Yep, and the water crossings increased exponentially, right? We had to ford quite a few rivers, which was a new experience in keeping our feet dry, a new challenge of slippery rocks. But finally, everybody talks about going up Katahdin, celebrating at the end, but nobody talks about having to go back down.
Which is not fun when you get to the top and have to turn around and you're like, I'm done. Oh, there's 5 miles until I can actually be done. And climbing down is pretty challenging. When you get to the section of the trail that's just bouldering up the side of Katahdin when you're above the tree line. I mean, we were fine. We made it down, but it was a little unnerving going down, and I'd say it's a little scarier going down than up.
Yep. It's a surreal feeling to have finished and then still have to hike your way out. Thank you for tuning in to watch this episode and just covering our highlights of surprises on the trail state by state. As we went through all 14, did you have a favorite?
Yes, my favorite was Virginia because it had excellent treadway, no bugs, we had great weather, there wasn't much mud, and we had really good views. A lot of that is dependent on the time we got there, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we were coming in through Virginia right as spring was erupting on trail, full of wildflowers. We had lots of cool owls at night. Whippoorwills were not fun.
Oh no.
Look forward to the next video next week. Bye.